And he also co-hosts a podcast called The Worst Game of Survivor. So please welcome to the stage, John Freitag.
Let's give it up for your host, Chris Ray. The only other comic tonight who's tall enough to use this mic stand. Like he said, my name is John Freitag, but don't I kind of look like I should be opening for Blink-182 on their AARP tour? I'm just missing like the fingerless gloves, the septum piercing, and the... Oh, that's right, a sexual assault charge. I even got an edgy band name picked out. It'd be My Clinical Depression. Let's be honest, this is America. I'm a stand-up comic. I can't afford health insurance. It'd be more like my self-diagnosis. And I'm not actually depressed. I just spent the last 36 hours playing Dungeons and Dragons and watching other people play video games because that's what healthy people do. And I don't want to kill myself, but recently a lot of people have told me I look like Machine Gun Kelly. And judging by the squeals, you agree. So I get it. I get it. But as a newer stand-up comic, I've been trying to go out to Chicago, really make a name for myself. And it has been going poorly. And I think the reason why is by the time I get there, I'm already up to here. Because the drivers are the worst. They give me the worst anxiety. But somehow, every time I go out there, I tell myself that this time it's going to be different. This time it's not going to be so bad. It always is. And I know when I hit Chicago traffic, because I'm driving along like I'm in that movie, Driving Miss Daisy, which I've never seen, but I assume Miss Daisy enjoys speed limits. And then everyone else around me is driving like they're in the Fast and the Furious. Except there's no Vin Diesel character to pull up next to me, nod, and go, family, and then drive off into the distance. It's just a bunch of serial killers hopped up on Frappuccinos. Like this one in particular, who wouldn't let me into her lane as mine was quickly ending, got me in my head thinking, all right, some small dick asshole boxing me out, right? Well, eventually I do get behind this Jeffrey Dahmer on wheels, because that's how traffic works. But then I notice a bunch of pink breast cancer survivor magnets and stickers on the back of their car, which now has me feeling like the bad guy. Now I'm the small dick asshole. Now I'm the one with a lump in my chest. Because she's strong, right? She's a hero. She's a survivor. But for just 1 second, I wish she wasn't. Like, I'm glad she gets to live a long life and it wasn't cut short. But just for a moment, her pink ribbons had me seeing red. And I'm glad she gets to go home to her friends, family, and loved ones. But like, just for a moment, I wish we'd cut federal funding. That's okay. I'm a bad person. And I know I'm a bad person. That's the difference between me and you guys, is I'll admit I'm a bad person. And I know the exact moment I realized I was a bad person. It was last week while I was on my way to my girlfriend's house. I was taking I-94 because my girlfriend lives in Wisconsin. I know how that sounds. My girlfriend from Wisconsin. She's real. She exists. Don't look around. She's not here. But while I was on I-94 making great time, usually takes me 5 hours to get there, gonna make it in 4, looking good. And then boom, red line pops up on my GPS. Plus 1 hour and 27 minutes. Fuck! And then, to add insult to injury, it pops up with a symbol for why I'm being delayed, and it's a crash symbol. And this is the moment while I'm backed up in traffic, in my own head, reading a novel, as one does, that I realize that I'm a bad person. Because the first thought that went through my head was, they better be dead. That's terrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But because these people are making me an hour late to get laid, fuck them! And then everything moves along smoothly, nothing gets backed up. I end up getting there in 4.5 hours, great time still. But as I'm pulling up to where the crash happened, I see that it's a fender bender, the family's happy, everyone's safe. And this is the second time I realize I'm a bad person. Because as I see this family getting out of their car, lovingly hugging each other, happy and safe to go home, I think to myself, what a waste of my fucking time. Before I get out of here, I just want to make sure that I didn't have a weird childhood or you guys had less of a weird childhood than I did. But when you guys were growing up and you were eating dinner, did your parents ever guilt you into finishing your meal? Right? They'd say things like, if you couldn't finish dinner, they'd say things like, oh, we know a family who'd appreciate that. Or, oh, we could ship this off to some third world country. We're going to use Ethiopia because that's what my parents used. Yeah? Oh, we could ship that off to Ethiopia. First off, way to create an eating disorder throughout an entire generation. Explains why I was obese till I was 25. Thanks, Mom and Dad, love you. Secondly, rude. That meatloaf is from tonight. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 days to get to O'Hare, another 3 to 5 to get overseas, another 2 to 3 to get to Ethiopia, if they're lucky. By the time those kids get that meatloaf, it's going to be rotten and there are going to be flies everywhere. You're taunting them. Stop it! But then it got me thinking, what are the parents of the Ethiopian kids telling them at dinner? When they're done with their meal and they're asking for seconds, looking up with their hungry eyes, I think they're telling them this. You should be happy with what you got. You could have too much like those Americans and be obese or have diabetes. You could have lost your leg to a disease, but instead you lost it to a lion like a man. My name's been John Freitag. You guys have a wonderful night.
All right, give it up to John.